Have you ever felt like you're on the outside looking in? Like you're maybe too broken or just too far away for God to really see you? We all have this deep down longing to belong, to be healed, to be made whole. Well, in the Gospels, there's this one incredible story about someone who was the ultimate outsider. But his faith literally left Jesus in awe. We're going to dive into his story, because what it shows us about how Jesus meets us, right where we are, is a complete game changer.
Just let the weight of those words sink in for a second. These are coming from Jesus himself. The greatest faith he encountered wasn't from his inner circle, not from the religious leaders. It came from a Roman soldier, an occupying soldier. This man saw something about Jesus' real power, about his heart, that pretty much everyone else was missing. And if we can grasp what he saw, it can totally transform how we see Jesus' willingness to meet us right here, today. Okay, so to really get this, we have to put ourselves in the scene. We're in a town called Capernaum. It's a Jewish town, it's full of life, but it's also simmering under the heavy, oppressive boot of Roman occupation. You can just feel the tension in the air. Every single interaction is loaded with history, with resentment, with power dynamics, and it's into this incredibly charged atmosphere that two people from completely opposite worlds are about to collide.
I mean, just look at this contrast. On one side, you have the Centurion. He is the walking, talking symbol of Roman imperial power, of military order, of occupation. And on the other side, Jesus, a Jewish teacher, a rabbi, who represents the faith and the hope of the occupied people. These two couldn't be from more different worlds. They are separated by this huge gulf of power, culture, and religion. Just the fact that they're even talking is a big deal, but it's how they talk that changes everything.
So you have to understand, a centurion was a man defined by his command. He was a career soldier, used to giving orders and having them followed instantly. His word was law for at least 100 men. But he doesn't walk up to Jesus with that swagger, that arrogance of power. No, he comes completely humbled. His heart just breaking for someone he cares about, his servant who's at home, paralyzed and suffering horribly. This powerful commander approaches Jesus not with a demand, but with a desperate, humble plea. And right here, this is the moment the entire story pivots. In this one short exchange, we get this profound revelation about who Jesus really is and the kind of faith that sees him clearly. The plea itself is just stunning. You have to know, in the Roman Empire, a servant was often seen as property, nothing more. For a powerful master to feel this kind of compassion, to go and publicly humble himself before a teacher of a conquered people, all for a servant, that was almost unheard of. It tells you right away that this is a man whose heart is already wired differently.
And look at Jesus' response. It's immediate, it's beautiful. He doesn't hesitate. There's no religious test, no are you worthy quiz. It's just pure, instant compassion. I will come. He's totally willing to cross every single cultural and social line to go into the home of a Gentile occupier just to bring healing. The crowd probably thought, okay, great, problem solved. But they had no idea what was coming next.
This is the line that stops everybody cold. This powerful Roman officer, a man of status and authority, looks at Jesus and says, I am not worthy. He gets it. He sees a holiness in Jesus that has nothing to do with social rank or power. And then he says the words that reveal everything. Just say the word. He doesn't need a ritual. He doesn't need Jesus to touch him. He doesn't even need Jesus to be physically present. He just needs his word, his command.
So how did he get to this place of absolute trust? Well, he explains it using the one thing he knows inside and out, authority. He's basically saying, look, Jesus, I get how command structures work. I have authority, but it's given to me by Rome. It's a derived authority. But when I give an order, it gets done. I look at you, and I recognize an authority that isn't derived from anyone. It's yours. It's absolute. Your word is a command that reality itself has to obey.
And this right here, this is where the centurion's logic unlocks the absolute core of the entire story. It's a huge shift from what we so often think faith is all about.
So when Jesus praises his great faith, what's he actually talking about? He isn't talking about some intense emotional feeling or a perfect theological resume. He's talking about clarity. This soldier simply saw with crystal clarity that Jesus held absolute authority over the physical world, over sickness, over distance, over everything. He saw the king standing behind the carpenter.
And this just makes the point so brilliantly. Think about it. So many people in Israel were physically close to Jesus. They walked with him, they heard him teach every day. But that familiarity, that insider status, it didn't mean they actually saw him. It was the outsider, the enemy soldier,
who saw past the humble exterior and recognized the king of the cosmos standing right there.
Jesus then takes this incredible moment of faith, and he uses it to teach a really startling, even difficult truth about his kingdom, a truth that turns all our expectations completely upside down.
You can almost hear the heartbreak in his voice when he says this. This isn't a threat, it's a tragedy. He's saying that just being born into the right family, the right culture, being a child of the kingdom, is not some automatic VIP pass. His kingdom is entered by faith, by recognizing the king. And many who assume they belong, well, they'll reject him, while outsiders from every corner of the globe will be welcomed in.
And this is that great reversal. God's kingdom doesn't operate on human hierarchies of who's in and who's out. It's all about who recognizes the king. This Roman centurion, he's like the first sign of this massive wave of unexpected people, the many from east and west, who will find their true home with God, all through simple, trusting faith.
So, what on earth does this story from 2,000 years ago have to do with us? Right now? Well, everything. Because that feeling the centurion had, that feeling of unworthiness, that's something we all know.
Do you know, if we're really being honest with ourselves, we all carry that feeling around. We look at our own lives, our mistakes, our baggage, our mess, and we think there's no way I can ask God for help. I'm not good enough. We feel exactly like that centurion did, completely unworthy to have Jesus come under our roof.
And this is the most beautiful, liberating truth in the whole story. Pay attention to what Jesus doesn't say. He never argues with the man. He never says, "Oh, come on, you are worthy." Because you know what? The centurion was right. He wasn't worthy, and neither are we. But worthiness was never the ticket for admission. The basis for our healing, for our hope, for our salvation, it's not our merit. It is his authority. He acts not because we deserve it, but simply because he is king.
And just like that, with one simple word of command, it's done. Go. No big production, no long journey, just his sovereign word. And the Bible tells us that at that exact moment, miles away, the servant was completely healed. This is a demonstration of a power that isn't limited by space or time. It's the power of God's loving authority.
And that right there is the invitation for every single one of us. The centurion's faith wasn't about trying to convince Jesus to enter his small physical house. His faith was the recognition that Jesus was already the Lord of his entire world. So the question for us today isn't, can we make ourselves good enough for Jesus to come near? The real question is, can we believe, like that soldier did, that he is already king of everything and simply trust his word? Which part of Jesus' authority in this story gives you the most hope today? I would genuinely love to read your thoughts in the comments.